That group includes our next exceptional honoree, Clancy Collins White. Clancy is an entertainment industry leader and executive vice president of creative affairs at Warner Brothers Television, overseeing groundbreaking television projects from the Emmy Award-winning Abbott Elementary, The Flight Attendant, found in one of my personal favorite shows, Lucifer. I love that show. And then on top of harboring so much talent, I learned that Clancy also had an incredible father who supported her in all of her endeavors. We also talked about the power and vulnerability and how asking for help and a willingness to be vulnerable is indicative of strength and not weakness. And I also enjoyed our talk regarding the importance of mentorship and how mentors don't necessarily have to be people in leadership, but can also be found amongst our peer groups. And for me, I found them in my sisterhood of Girls Inc. friends. And in addition to her professional accolades, Clancy is a steadfast, loyal supporter of Girls Inc. and a woman who represents the leadership qualities girls like me aspire to embody. I'm honored to present Clancy with the Champion for Girls Award.
Thank you so much, Jocelyn, and thank you to Girls Inc. for this incredible honor. This organization holds such a special place in my heart. I can still remember my first Girls Inc. luncheon like it was yesterday. I was blown away by the power in that room, by the strength and ferocity I saw in those amazing girls. Their stories impacted me profoundly. Stories of how Girls Inc. helped them find their voices and achieve their dreams, how it literally changed their lives. At a time when our world is in total and complete chaos and our liberties and values are being attacked at every turn, it's never been more important to empower and champion young women. They are our greatest hope for the future. A big part of the reason I connected with the Girls Inc. mission is that I was raised by two incredibly strong, smart, and bold women, my mother and grandmother. They were the epitome of the Southern steel magnolia. As a young woman growing up in Mississippi, it was not unusual to see my grandmother riding her horses at a full gallop while standing straight up in the saddle. True. She survived an abusive marriage, went on to work in the state Senate, and was a passionate advocate for other women. And she was a force of nature. One of the first things she said to my husband after I introduced them was, "You better treat her right, because I have a shotgun and I'm not afraid to use it." When my mother wasn't singing in the church choir, she spent her time breaking wild Mustang horses. She went on to become a Miss America and an award-winning actress, starring in 2 Elvis Presley movies, and performed death-defying circus acts on Circus of the Stars, as people do, apparently. She and my father were also dedicated humanitarians who documented the plight of victims of war and starvation in places like Cambodia, Ethiopia, and Somalia. And they often took me with them to those refugee camps. As I watched them help people and make sure their stories were being heard, I learned the importance of giving back, of being of service. My family inspired my love of storytelling. I saw firsthand the impact that stories, both fictional and true, could have on the world. Every day I seek to entertain, move, and inspire audiences by telling stories that allow all people to feel seen and heard, to see themselves and their experiences reflected on screen. Each of us in this room has a unique story to tell. The story of how we got here, the people who shaped us, and the path we're forging ahead. These stories define who we are and the legacy we leave behind. But I must confess that I struggled in the early years of my career. This may surprise some of you who know me well, but I didn't always know how to use my voice or to go after what I wanted. My parents encouraged me to have big dreams, but I was hesitant to go after them in big, bold ways for fear of ruffling feathers or seeming unladylike or too aggressive. I avoided confrontation at all costs. In addition, I felt a deep and crippling sense of inadequacy, imposter syndrome, if you will. My parents had accomplished so much. How could I possibly measure up to all that they'd achieved? How could I make an impact? And worst of all, I was afraid to ask for help for fear of seeming weak. When I met Jocelyn and we talked about our journeys, as she mentioned, we realized we'd both wrestled with these same issues. I didn't know then what we both know now, which is that there's great power in strength and vulnerability. Thankfully, my father, who was my greatest champion and best friend, gave me a gift at a time when I needed it the most. in the form of a passage from Marianne Williamson's book. As Marianne so beautifully puts it, our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people will not feel insecure around you. We're all meant to shine, as children do, and as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. As my father so wisely pointed out, I was busy telling other people's stories, but didn't know if mine was worthy of being told. I didn't see that my story was just as important as the ones I was shepherding. And there's so many people who've been a part of my story. I wouldn't be here today without the love and support of my amazing husband, Dean, and our children, Jackson and Madeline. They've been here for me in my darkest hours through breast cancer, the loss of my parents, and all of life's ups and downs. As Jocelyn mentioned, I've also been blessed to have amazing friends and mentors along the way, many of whom are here today, and I thank you all. And when I say mentors, I don't just mean bosses. Mentors can come in many other forms, and my colleagues and the writers and producers I work with every day have helped raise me, if you will. They've inspired me to be unapologetic about going after what I want, to look up and outward instead of just keeping my head down and waiting to be recognized and rewarded. And finally, I have to acknowledge my faith, which has been everything to me. I grew up listening to my grandmother quote her favorite passage from the book of Matthew. For truly I tell you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. Girls Inc. gives young women like Jocelyn the power to write and own their stories. It provides them with the tools, support, and belief in themselves to dream big and reach for those dreams. Through Girls Inc., they discover the boundless potential within themselves. I can't wait to see how their stories unfold. But they're not just writing their own stories. They are writing a legacy of empowerment and resilience for all who follow in their footsteps. Emerson said it best, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. Perhaps no one embodies this idea more than Suzanne Patmore Gibbs. She touched so many lives and was a beloved member of our community, a cherished friend, mother, and wife. The Suzanne Patmore Gibbs Courage Scholarship has been instrumental in raising more than $1 million to help Girls Inc. participants boldly pursue their academic and career goals. Each year, the fund awards 3 generous $25,000 scholarships to standout Girls Inc. girls attending a 4-year university of their choice. This year's recipients include Samantha Camargo Ortiz from Girls Inc. of Alameda County, and the 2 scholars you heard from today, Jocelyn DeLeon from Girls Inc. of Orange County and Kayla Salazar from Girls Inc. of the Central Coast. Please join me in a round of applause to congratulate the Suzanne Patmore Gibbs Scholarship recipients. As I was looking for photos for today's luncheon, I came across a note my father sent me years ago, not long before he died. He wrote, I was thinking how far you have come, and most importantly, how much you have come through. I'm aware that it could have turned out differently had it not been for your perseverance and trust that the journey and that you were worth it. To all the Girls Inc. girls, I beg of you, don't ever forget your worth. Be curious about life and about others. Be fearless and fierce, but don't ever be afraid to be vulnerable and ask for help. And please keep telling your stories. The world needs to hear them, now more than ever. Thank you.